What would you do if the last place you were seen wasn't on the way home? High noon. Open highway. Her car still sitting in the employee parking lot at 3:17 p.m. By 3:40, her mother was already refreshing her phone. Ciara Vaughn didn't disappear at night. She vanished in broad daylight, with traffic passing, sunlight flooding the sidewalks, and coworkers still clocked in. That's what makes it unbearable. Nothing about that afternoon looked dangerous. She had texted Kendall Ruiz at 2:58 p.m. "Brady's giving me a ride. My car won't start again." Normal. Routine. Forgettable. Except her car wasn't broken. By 3:25 p.m., security footage shows Ciara stepping out of the building, tucking loose hair behind her ear, shielding her eyes from the sun. Brady Kincaid's truck pulls up. She hesitates. Not long. Just enough to make you wish she hadn't. 2:59 p.m. Last confirmed sighting. The truck turns right at the exit. Home was left. By 4:12 p.m., Arlene Vaughn calls her daughter for the third time. Voicemail. By 4:30, Darius Vaughn drives past the usual route Ciara takes when someone drops her off. Nothing. No stalled vehicle. No accident. No police lights. But one detail didn't add up. At 5:06 p.m., Kendall checks Ciara's location. It had moved. Not toward her apartment. Not toward Brady's neighborhood. It stopped near an old agricultural access road that doesn't lead anywhere except private land and abandoned barns. And then, it went dark. Here's the part no one can shake. Ciara didn't argue. She didn't send a distress text. She didn't sound uneasy in her last message. Which means one of two things. Either she trusted him completely, or she didn't realize she needed not to. Main focus, Brady Kincaid. When police questioned Brady that evening, he said something small. Casual. "She asked me to take the long way. Said she needed air." But highway cameras show something else. He never passed the turnoff to her apartment complex. He never even got close. So why lie about a route no one had accused him of taking yet? 3 days later, volunteers search that access road. They find tire impressions pressed deep into dry dirt. Not one set, two. And Ciara's phone? It wasn't smashed. It wasn't hidden. It was placed face down in the grass. Battery removed. That requires intention. If she wasn't in danger when she got in, when did the danger begin? Was it the moment he turned right instead of left? Or earlier, in a conversation no one else heard? What if the most important clue wasn't hidden, but sitting in plain sight the entire time? 3 days after Ciara vanished, investigators processed Brady Kincaid's truck in full daylight. No dramatic chaos. No forced entry. No shattered glass. Just heat rising from the hood. Dust clinging to the tires. A vehicle that looked painfully ordinary. Inside, nothing screamed crime. Fast food wrappers. Work gloves. A half-empty water bottle. But the passenger seat told a quieter story. The seatbelt was pulled all the way out, twisted slightly, like someone had fastened it, then released it quickly. The indentation on the seat didn't match Ciara's weight. Too deep, too recent. And there was something else. The truck's internal navigation system had logged a manual input at 3:04 p.m. Not voice command. Typed, destination. A set of coordinates less than a mile from where Ciara's phone was found. He told police she asked to take the long way, but the coordinates were entered before the truck left the lot. Before any detour could have been discussed. Before they even reached the exit. Which means one thing. The route wasn't spontaneous. It was planned. When confronted, Brady's explanation shifted. He said he'd entered the location days earlier for a hunting trip. But digital forensics showed the entry was new. Timestamped the same minute Ciara stepped outside. So here's the fracture. If he already knew where he was going, why offer her a ride home at all? And if Ciara didn't realize they weren't heading toward her apartment, why delete a call? If it meant nothing, investigators pulled Brady Kincaid's phone records expecting routine traffic. Instead, they found a 4-minute outgoing call placed at 3:11 p.m., 7 minutes after the coordinates were entered, 5 minutes after the truck left the parking lot. 3:11 p.m., Outgoing call, 4 minutes. The number wasn't saved, but it wasn't random. It belonged to a prepaid line purchased that same morning at a gas station 12 miles away. Cash transaction. No loyalty card. No name attached. When questioned, Brady said he couldn't remember making the call. Said he was driving. Said maybe it was accidental. But the truck's internal system logged the engine idling during that exact window. Not moving. Stopped. Near the same agricultural road where Ciara's phone would later be found. So what holds a vehicle still for 4 minutes in the middle of nowhere? Silence? An argument? A decision? Here's what investigators can confirm. Ciara's phone did not move during that call. It didn't ping toward town. It didn't redirect. It stayed there, stationary. After the call ended, the truck resumed movement. But not toward home. Back toward the highway. Back toward traffic. Back toward normal. By 3:32 p.m., Brady's phone connected to a tower near his apartment complex. He was alone. At least that's what he claimed. But if Ciara never made it home, and Brady stopped for 4 minutes where her signal froze, what happened in that pause? Did she understand the truth? How much can go unnoticed before it becomes evidence? Search teams returned to the dirt track where Ciara's phone had been found. Sunlight glinted off something half-buried in the tall grass. Abandoned access road 3 days later. First, it looked like debris. A bag? Maybe trash. Closer inspection revealed. It was a small, leather-bound planner. Not Brady's. Not anyone on the official list of suspects. Its pages were intact. Except for a single folded note tucked inside. I shouldn't have let her see this. Nothing else. No signature. No name. The handwriting, precise. Controlled. But the words carried panic. Fear. Regret. And a warning. Who wrote it? Why leave it here? The ground around it told another story. 2 sets of footprints. One obviously smaller, Ciara's. The other, unfamiliar. Bigger. Heavy. Purposeful. It didn't match Brady's boots. Which means he wasn't the only one near this location. Or maybe he wanted someone else to think that. What does a footprint reveal? If you know how to read it. Investigators measured every print around the planner. Ciara's were light, hurried, uneven, consistent with someone trying to hide her steps. The larger prints, heavy, steady, deliberate. But here's what no one expected. They changed direction halfway through the clearing. Instead of following the road, they veered toward the cornfield. Not random, intentional. Someone wanted to hide or retrieve something, or mislead the search. The prints ended near an old fence post, where a small metal object glinted under the sun. Investigators recognized it immediately. A keychain with a single, strange symbol engraved on it. Not registered to Brady, not to Ciara. A stranger's mark left at a crime scene in broad daylight. But whose? And why leave it so deliberately? By the time they looked up, the field was empty. No footprints returning. No sign of the person who left it. Just the evidence. And a growing question. Was Ciara's detour planned by him or by someone else entirely? How often do the smallest details carry the heaviest weight? Investigators returned to Ciara's last messages. Kendall Ruiz had texted her, "Don't forget to lock your car. Brady's giving you a ride, right?" Ciara's reply was casual. "Yeah, all good. Won't take long." Nothing stood out, except a tiny symbol she had added at the end of her text. A star. Simple. Innocuous. But when compared to the keychain found in the cornfield, the engraving matched. It was subtle, tiny, easy to miss. Yet, it connected Ciara's final safe step to the exact object left near the fence post. The implication was chilling. Someone knew exactly how she communicated, how she marked things, and where she would be. It wasn't random. It wasn't impulsive. It was intentional. And that means she wasn't just taken off course. She was guided. Someone waited for her, watched her, knew the precise moment to act. By 5:12 p.m., the investigators had mapped the keychain's origin. Purchased online, from a store in a neighboring county. Paid with a card untraceable to Brady. someone outside his circle, someone who had studied Ciara's routine. By the time the sun began to dip, the question hanging in the air was unavoidable. Who had been waiting for her all along? What if the person who promised safety was only part of the story? By morning, Detective Rowan Hale traced the keychain's shipment. It led to a small farm on the outskirts of the county. Abandoned barns, overgrown fields, quiet, sunlit roads, the same type Ciara had passed that afternoon. Inside the main barn, they discovered subtle signs of recent activity. Footprints matching the heavy prints from Part 5. And hidden behind a stack of old crates, Ciara's scarf, torn slightly, but intact. Someone had kept her close, enough to prevent her escape, not enough to leave visible harm. A search of the surrounding area revealed another clue. A small diary. Not hers, someone else's. Inside, a confession had been scrawled, shaky but deliberate. I never meant to hurt her. I only wanted control. But I lost track. She trusted me too much. Brady Kincaid, once the focus of suspicion, had played a role. But he wasn't acting alone. The larger scheme involved someone who had watched Ciara quietly, manipulated her route, and timed every step. The investigators finally had their first real lead on the mastermind. Ciara was alive. Scared, but alive. Justice wasn't instant, but awareness was. And for her family, for her friends, for anyone who had feared the worst, that made all the difference. Hope restored Ciara safe. The chilling truth? Sometimes the danger isn't just in the person standing in front of you. It's in the plans made before you even stepped out the door. If you want to follow the veil of secret, subscribe now. Because for every story uncovered, there's always a secret waiting to be revealed. Subscribe for the untold truths, and never miss the secrets hidden in plain sight.